There it hangs, suspended in gloom, glowing dimly in darkness. A beacon there to inform us that there is always a way out. But don't go just yet. We have such wonderful things to show you. This is the Exit Light Podcast. Hello, and good evening, listener. I see you've returned for more Soulbound. I won't take up too much time in chatting. Like much of my released content, this is intended for mature audiences. And Mom, if you're listening, don't say I didn't warn you. Again, this book is available at Amazon.com. Just search Soulbound with my name included, because there are other books with this title, and I don't want you to mistakenly read those ones, whatever they are. And so, part 2 begins now. Janice and the Rosary Strangler. She sits at the edge of the bed, elbows resting on her knees. Her shoulder blades protrude like stunted wings on either side of a tattered tank top. She is staring pensively at a collection of objects on a nightstand with bloodshot eyes. She is fighting an inward battle of wills. She has been clean for a week now, but Casper came by with a score for her, saying he wants her tip-top for later tonight, saying he wants her to shine, saying he loves her. She said through dead lips, "I love you too," but she was talking to the little pouch filled with an off-white substance. The setup is the all-too-familiar heroin junkie hobby kit: spoon, lighter, hypo, and a length of rubber tubing. She holds the plastic baggie between a thumb and forefinger. She is gently rotating it, considering the rush of ecstasy it promises. She is also lucid enough to counter the impulse with a vague sense of hope and reason. She came to San Francisco to become a nurse. She had plans and dreams that just scattered like leaves in the strong gales of drug addiction. She clenches her jaw and lowers her forehead to touch the fist, now squeezing the bag, begging it silently to let her go. She exhales and opens her eyes wide, lashes fluttering away tears of frustration that threaten to ruin her mascara. She stands and lets the baggie plop onto the nightstand before shuffling off into the kitchen to fix something to eat. She has a can of condensed cream of mushroom soup and a couple of week-old tortillas, and eats them grimly. She will do what Casper always tells her to do. Just meet with the guy. If you like him, then go. If not, you can always say no. She said no a lot in the beginning, but with her escalating habit, yeses became more and more frequent. Casper never hit her. He loves her. He brings her presents. But she wanted to be a nurse. She still does, and she eats her soup. She showers and shaves the roughness away from her legs. The dark stubble dots the soap like finely ground pepper, swirling into the void of the shower drain. Janice looks at herself in the medicine cabinet mirror. The silvered paint behind the glass is warped, in places making her features slightly distorted, pinched, too sharp to be her face. But it is her face. The reflection is the truth. She doesn't know the person who is staring back at her. Her mascara is almost in danger again, but she swallows the tears that do not surface. This will be hard. She needs to say yes tonight. She is late on her rent by 2 weeks, and the super is threatening to evict her if she doesn't pay up soon. Casper cares about her, saying he can put her up somewhere if she gets the boot from her apartment, He doesn't offer to let her move in with him. He doesn't elaborate on where this place, somewhere, is. She now thinks it's absolute bullshit, and Casper is just another smooth-talking asshole. Skin-tight leopard print one-piece, dusky gray fishnet stockings, bright red high heels to match the lipstick that she paints on, like the smile she'll be wearing all night. Passing her neighbor in the hallway, she is filled with guilt. He is a priest, and his eyes dart to her attire like an inquisition, recalling memories of the look her father gave her when he caught her once, sneaking out into the balmy San Diego night. A mixture of disappointment and something like rage, but this man gives her a sense of dread and forewarning that she cannot entirely justify. She self-consciously pulls her skirt down a fraction, showing what modesty she can in his pious presence. She doesn't notice the priest watching her as she turns the corner to descend the stairs leading into the foggy night streets. It's all about eye contact. She meets the searching gaze of each man as she passes. She's a walking advertisement, and so far has not yet found her target demographic. She loiters about street corners, sometimes crossing the street to interrupt the misty beams of headlights, then waiting on the opposite corner to cross again. Her path covers about a square mile in 2 hours. In this time and space, she has entered 3 vehicles for some quick exchanges, only having to reapply her lipstick once. She tries to keep amongst the crowd, but occasionally she finds herself alone, and at such times she quickens her pace, seeking the safety of numbers. She thinks about the small red canister of pepper spray in her shiny black purse. She reaches into it, while passing a cavernous and dingy gap between 2 brick buildings. She peers into the gloom as she passes. She glances up at the zigzagging fire escapes. The light in the windows are not enough to illuminate the alleyway, making it seem all that much darker. She collides with a solid something and twists an ankle, stumbling. She drops the pepper spray. It hits the concrete with a clatter and rolls into the gutter. "Oh, I'm so sorry, my dear," a man's voice utters harshly. She has not turned to face the person she ran into, yet as she is removing a broken shoe, the heel hangs on by a bit of material that lines the outer sole. "Shit, these are my favorite shoes." "Are you all right?" She then looks up at the man and drops the shoe in surprise. It is the priest. Yeah, I'm fine. Don't worry about it." She begins to turn to remove the other shoe and walk in her stockinged feet to her apartment, which seems so far away in her present state. Something heavy lands on the side of her head, and the dim street grows ever darker, fading to blackness. She is cold and her head hurts. She cannot move and she cannot cry for help. Bound on a cold, hard floor, with the sound of a furnace thrumming in the dimly lit room. Some kind of basement. Despite her current situation, she wonders what time it is. Something stirs in the darkness, and she turns her head to see him approaching. The priest is older, short gray hair streaked with white at his temples, large overhanging eyebrows shade his eyes, so she can't tell if he's looking at her or not. But she feels his gaze nonetheless. His mouth is a straight, bloodless line, held in rigid austerity. She guesses he's in his late 40s, perhaps older. The robes give him a timeless sort of appearance. He is holding a book open in his hands as he takes slow, deliberate steps toward her. He is muttering to himself. The dim light glints off a cross dangling heavily on a chain about his neck. The words he is saying are little more than low whispers, but they fill her with dread. His approach stops until he is standing over her. She is looking up at his hands. The book is a Bible, and his right hand is wrapped in beads. A small crucifix dangles like a pendulum above her. "I am Father Von Francis. Do you believe in God?" Yes. She says this like a question. "Good. Then this will be easy." He kneels down so that the rosary is dangling just inches from her face, and places a hand on her forehead. It is a warm touch, but her skin crawls in revulsion. "I am speaking to the demon that resides in this shell," he intones. "What?" "Come forth." What are you doing?" She tries to pull away from his touch. "Come forth. The power of Christ compels you," he bellows, and presses his hand harder while gripping a handful of her hair. She screams in pain as he twists his grip as he turns, stepping over her, and is then straddling her. Tears begin to stream from the corners of her eyes and black mascara trails. What do you want?" she cries, confusion and dawning horror in her eyes. "To be rid of the demon inside of you. It is rooted deep, my dear. I am sorry about this." "What? Her last words are cut off by the rosary beads, now cutting off her airway. Her eyes bulge, and all she can do is stare into the implacable face of Father Von Francis and plead silently, black tears tracing lines and dripping onto the cold concrete beneath her head. Pulses of light flare and flash in her vision, and mercifully, the burning pressure from her throat is released and she gasps, drawing in a painful breath. "Do you repent?" Yes. "Do you ask for the Lord's holy forgiveness?" "I do," she yells hoarsely. She doesn't know what she's saying, but she knows in a primal way that surviving means to go along with this line of questioning. "Confess your sins and be released then." He breathes in a low whisper, his mouth set in a grim smile. "I have sinned, Father. A lot. I'm sorry." She coughs. "And do you know the nature of your depravity, the depths your soul has descended to?" I don't understand." "Then I fear it is too late. I return you to the Lord. May he welcome you into his loving arms." She screams then. It is a ragged peal that is cut off abruptly, and a choked gurgle by a force of stretched beads thrust upon her throat. Her field of vision narrows in starbursts and fading darkness. She drifts, a sensation of rising, as if swimming weightless. She is above the crouched form of Father Von Francis and her thin body, resting peaceful at last beneath him. Her fear is gone, only a brief moment of sadness lingering, and a regret of the choices she made. But she does not dwell for long. She does not wait to see what becomes of her mortal frame. She does not care. She moves forward into the unknown. Newspaper article dated February 4th, 2015, Wednesday. The body of a woman in her late 20s was found in a vacant lot late Tuesday night in the Tenderloin district. The cause of death was confirmed as strangulation. This marks the 5th such murder case in the last 2 months. No suspects have been announced. The chief of police has officially stated and confirmed that this appears to be the work of a serial killer. If you have any information regarding this case, please do not hesitate to contact SFPD. Journal entry, Date, February 4th, 2015, Wednesday. Another demon cleansed from God's earth, and one more soul returned to God's loving embrace. In her last moments she confessed her sins to me. I saw humanity shine briefly in those hell-hazed eyes in her last moments. The police were here early this morning. It seems I do not have to move on after all. God be great. He is watching over me. My doings were not observed, but I must remain vigilant. Suspicion rarely falls on the priesthood. Though not ordained by the church, it is only God's blessing. I need to carry out his works. Chapter 4. Thursday morning light filters through a fine dusting of swirling particles as Everett awakes and tosses his blankets from himself with violent eagerness. He checks his phone to see if Charlotte has had any afterthoughts following their brief exchange the night previous. Nothing. Just a smiley face and a chipper, "See you tomorrow, Everett." He eats a small breakfast before heading out for a bike ride. Honey Nut Cheerios with low-fat milk, past its date, but still good. The theme of the day, he decides. Cheerio, indeed. He goes for a bike ride, for no other reason than to be both terrified and elated at the same time. He had a car, but sold it due to its infrequent use and expensive parking costs. His ride takes him through the heart of the city, down near the water now thronged with tourists and panhandlers. The salty air blows in from the bay. He can smell crabs boiling and funnel cake. Gulls swirl above in dense clouds. Their shrill, insistent cries pierce the clear morning air like so many off-tune violins. Straddling his bicycle, he just stares off past the hazy bulk of Alcatraz into the unknown horizon and starts as a tap on his shoulder breaks his meditation. Excuse me." An Asian man is smiling up at him, holding a camera. Everett guesses Japanese. His family is huddled together with Pier 39 spread out behind them. "Picture?" Everett asks, holding out his hand for the camera. "Yes, please." The man extricates himself from the wide-gauge shoulder strap and hands the camera over and proceeds to show him which button to push. Then mimes taking a picture before bowing slightly in that endearing manner only the Japanese are capable of. He sort of walk-runs to his family, taking his place between two teenage girls and his wife and possibly his mother. It's hard to tell at this distance. The peace signs the teenage girls hold up are like the word cheese that they all say in unison, loudly and enthusiastically. The perfect cue for him to open the shutter and freeze this moment forever on a digital memory card. The man runs back to him to retrieve his camera and examine the result, and nods emphatically, smiling and giving him the thumbs up. "Thank you so much." He bows again a few times. Everett bows and replies, "Do itashimashite." The man beams and utters a rapid reply in Japanese, and Everett is pretty sure it is something to the effect of, "Holy shit, you speak Japanese? How quaint and surprising." The man hustles back to his family to show them the picture and to share the news that the tall white guy over there speaks their language. They all look up and wave. He waves back and pedals away to his favorite cafe. He has been coming to Ichabod's coffee house since he moved to San Francisco. The place is a stand-alone structure with ample bike parking that is a wood and wrought iron argument amidst the rectangles and obelisks of glass and concrete around it. Ichabod's is, as usual, crowded. Many familiar faces or regulars are here. Some glance his way in recognition as he joins the queue to order a large drip coffee and an Asiago bagel with cream cheese, which almost never run in short supply. Bohemian Rhapsody plays over the sound system, and the coffee is delicious. he heads outside into the brilliant late morning after collecting his bagel, steaming and heavy laden with thick cream cheese. A black sedan turns the corner just then. He sees the apprehension on his face reflected in the mirrored glass as it passes by, a bit too slowly. Everett thinks of the necrophiliac as it halts at a red light, and of his forgotten copy of Dracula in the storeroom at cover to cover simultaneously. He sits at a patio table shaded by a dark burgundy parasol. The finial is a snarling gargoyle, which is also the mascot of Ichabod's. He's halfway through his cup of coffee, which has cooled to gulping temperature, and his bagel is just a pleasant memory. All that remains is just a few blobs of cream cheese squeezed out between the two halves. They always slather on too much, but he doesn't mind. A shadow eclipses his table, and he knows who it is before he even looks up. It's the necro, of course. He hears Freddy's voice sing that he just killed a man. "Mind if I sit down?" Everett doesn't answer, instead takes a cursory pan of the patio to see that all the tables are currently occupied. The necro takes a seat opposite him and sips at his drink. "Wow, this is pretty good," he exclaims. Freddy held a gun to his head, pulled a trigger, and now he's dead. Everett just stares at him, waiting for some justification of this intrusion. "I feel I owe you an apology, so I'm sorry I alarmed you with my request the other day. I guess everybody has their vice." "Vice? Yes and no. More like a compulsion. Before I expound more philosophical comparisons upon you, I should introduce myself properly. I am Desmond Winter." After pronouncing his own name, he waits for some kind of reaction. Seeing none, he elaborates. You're supposed to say, the Desmond Winter?" "Right. Sorry, I don't know who you are, Desmond." Everett gulps some coffee. It is now cold, and he pines for the men's room. The man straightens and reaches into his jacket pocket, extracting a small black case. Inside are neatly packed cards. He hands one over to Everett, who accepts it as if it might bite him. The card reads, "Desmond Winter, President and CEO of Cryolux, Inc. An email address and phone number are listed faintly below the heading. We are the world's leading cryogenic equipment manufacturer and maintain a large facility just outside of Santa Rosa called Hereafter. The units we produce are bought by the super rich in the event of their death. They are loaded into these devices to be frozen and hopefully revived when modern medicine transcends beyond science fiction. Guess they are a bit too cold for you at that point." He can't help the jibe, but Desmond doesn't react. "Yes, and they are under strict confidence of surveillance and contract to be utterly undisturbed in their temporary stasis. How temporary? Well, that is a matter for others more ambitious than I." He sips more coffee, regarding Everett pleasantly. "Excuse me, gotta use the men's." Desmond nods and peruses his mobile device as Everett takes his leave. Bismillah. The quiet drone of the bathroom's ventilation is comforting light noise in contrast to his screaming brain. Now that he thinks about it, he does recall something in the news about this guy. Some controversy about people opting to be cryogenically frozen while still living to better their chances, resulting in public outrage and moral chest-beating. Everett could not care less, but the question of why this man with so many resources at his disposal chose to harass him of all hapless individuals out there, and why he seemed so sure of his commonality with him. Half hoping that his table will be occupied by a group of hipsters or art students instead, there is Desmond Winter sitting at ease, one knee hooked over the other, coffee in hand. "Welcome back, Mr. Maudis." Everett is not surprised this man knows his name at this point. In the realm of possibility, it is certainly somewhere in the "well, that's interesting" section. Desmond sets his coffee down and tenses his fingers, perfectly manicured nails almost touching. "Mr. Maudis, I can make things very uncomfortable for you. This goes without saying. I am determined to have what I desire. Call me a junkie. Think of me as disgusting, if you wish, but you don't know the extent to which I will go. I have some temporary arrangements that settle my affairs for the next month or so, but please do reconsider." He slides a folded piece of paper across the table and abruptly stands, buttoning his blazer. Everett doesn't reach for it immediately, just watches the folded paper flutter in the slight breeze, and watches Desmond Winters saunter away in his periphery. It's a check for $8,000. It reads on the bottom line in an elegant script, "Happy birthday, Everett. Spend it wisely." His birthday is next week. With this, he could finish his degree, drop the junior title in the ME's office, and begin his doctorate in research pathology. The thought is tempting, but he recalls the subtle threat made by the necro. Thinking of his name feels too kind and far too personal. Everett leaves Ichabod's for home, with a check in his pocket, uncertainty and conscience gnawing on him like two vicious, starving rats. Easy come, easy go. Any way the wind blows. He arrives at the agreed-upon restaurant at exactly 7 p.m. He shined up pretty good for this. He even shaved. He almost feels welcome as he steps inside. Garçon. Everett checks the reservation with the maitre d' and explains to him that he'd prefer to wait until his date arrives. "But of course," in a half-decent French accent. There's a velvet throne facing the door. He settles into it and tries to appear casual, trying to remember a French food besides French toast and fries. She enters, at least he thinks it's her. Long black hair, check. Slender frame, not check. The woman who is not Charlotte scans the dining room and smiles as she sees her friend waving her over. She breezes by him, and thankfully doesn't note the look of relief on his face. The door opens again. It is 7:05. It's not her, nor the next. It is 7:24 and the maitre d' is glaring at him. "Sorry, my date is running late." "Would you like to be seated?" "Sure." Eyes on the door. The maitre d' nods, completely understanding. "Follow me, sir. This way, then." Everett follows the flapping coattails and takes a seat. 2 menus are placed at a small table, near a window. It's not a bad spot. And before he can pull out his phone, he sees her enter. Finally. He's not upset. She did say 7 or 8, and it's 5 till. She's early by her latest estimation. He stands to greet her. She is quite lovely, dressed in a white jacket with some feathery trim around the collar. Underneath is a deep blue one-piece dress, cinched with a silver chain belt. Heels like daggers poke little divots in the soft carpet as she strides towards him. "Hello, Everest. Everett. Sorry. Call me Ev. It's easier." "It's nice to meet you." The ooh sound in the word you is elongated and steadily rises like a question. They shake hands perfunctorily. Her skin is smooth, and her wrist jingles with little bangles that glitter in the dim light. He notices a tiny cuckoo clock, and wonders if it actually works. Now that would be something. He pulls her chair out for her and takes her coat, smelling a rich citrus perfume as she slides out of it. "Thank you. she says, looking up at him as she settles into her chair, smiling. No problem. He has no idea what to do with the jacket at this point. It's too long to hang over the back of her chair without touching the floor. A busboy saves the day. Let me, sir. We'll hang it on the rack in the lobby. Thanks, Everett says with genuine relief. Charlotte is watching this, quite amused. He can't help but notice recognition in the face of the busboy, by way of a longer than normal glance at Charlotte and a slight twitch of his neat little mustache as he hustles towards the lobby to hang the coat. She's already setting her menu down, decision firmly set. A waiter glides to the table and courteously asks the lady what she would like for starters. She orders several things, many words being exchanged. Everett catches none of it. Expectant eyes set upon him, and he blurts, the cock au vin? His fingers trace the length of the word on the menu. Certainly, sir. The coq au vin. The waiter then twirls, closing his order book, and disappears into the kitchen. Charlotte is laughing. Everett is glad to be a source of amusement and just rolls with it. I guess you could tell I don't eat at places like this very often. Yeah, I get that feeling. They converse for a while before a small platoon of waiters emerge with bottles, glasses, and alchemical devices. Each of these individuals surely have a fancy title beyond maître d', all else as well. French to him. Tiny plates are set in front of them, and something that resembles fancy cat food surrounded by miniature toasts. A procedure of uncorking and decanting ensues. Charlotte has already eaten half of the cat food. He decides to scoop up some for himself. It's not bad. Some kind of meat. It's smoky, pleasantly salty. He then thinks cats are ridiculously spoiled little creatures. They talk about their respective upbringings, an easy theme, and evolve to what they do for a living. His response concerning the morgue is rather vague, given present circumstances. He just says, the hospital, and lets her draw her own conclusions at this point. She is between jobs at the moment, after a recent layoff at a startup that went belly up. This doesn't occur to him as a red flag, as he is busy prying some meat from a chicken thigh bone, splattering some gravy on the white table linen. They order some coffee and dessert, again unintelligible to him, but he thinks he ordered something chocolatey, and as soon as the last spoonful of her creme brulee is gone, a phone rings. She holds it in front of wide eyes, and then flicks her startled glance to him. Sorry, gotta take this. Hello? What follows is a performance of such theatricality that he is almost convinced that her little sister Janie has indeed just fallen down a flight of stairs and has ruptured her spleen. I'm really sorry, Everest, but I have to go to the hospital. My sister ruptured her spleen. Yeah, he says. The coq au vin in his stomach is fighting with the cat food, with the chocolate bonbon refereeing at this point. She wipes her mouth, leaving a smear of flesh-tone lipstick on the napkin, and extends her hand all a-jangle. He shakes it limply, thinking that cuckoo clock is such a little fraud. See ya. The unspoken word at the end hovers in the air like a fart in a broom closet. It rhymes with fucker, but both words work equally as well. She then rushes out through the door, but not before collecting her coat. He sees one lithe leg disappear into a white SUV before both doors close, and she's gone. And he's here stuck with a bill of epic amounts. He can't wait. With the tip, the total is $275, a staggering amount, approximately his budget for an entire month of perfectly good frozen food items and the occasional pizza delivery. He passes the busboy that took her coat earlier. Hey, why didn't you warn me about her? The busboy shrugs and bustles away. A few seconds later, he is outside, and instead of going right, he goes left. It is now 8:55. The night is still young, and he only has the night shift tomorrow. He decides to deposit the check, and does so by snapping a photo with his phone and processing it via a snazzy bank app. He is now $8,000 richer, and the Necro has him in his debt. He knows he can arrange the Necro's request. It's that ugly feeling that he is participating in some really twisted, deviant stuff that bothers him. He receives a text message just then. Unknown number. It reads, "Glad you are being agreeable. D." Everett does not frequent nightclubs often. He finds them to be loud and tedious. Everything aside from dancing, which he is not accustomed to, is a chaotic experience, from getting a drink at the bar to using the restroom. He passes a few places with thundering drum beats that threaten to shake the structure they are housed in to debris. A door opens and a girl trips over the threshold landing with a drunken squeal on her butt, blonde curls shrouding her face. She's laughing, and a security guard is trying to help her to her feet, but her knees keep wobbling out from under her. Moving on to the next one, the place is pretty posh, and the line is rather long. He continues down the line until a sign with a pale face, long pointed ears, and wide staring eyes stops him. "Nosferai nightclub," he reads aloud. "There is no line. This is the place." The stamp printed on his wrist looks like 2 fang punctures. This means he has paid the $15 and passed the security checkpoint. He is free to move about the dance floor. Nostalgia washes over him as Rio by Duran Duran greets him like an old forgotten friend. He takes it all in. The smoke machines, the horror movies being projected onto the half-naked bodies of stage dancers. Under a red spotlight, a girl is being tied up with elaborate knots and strung up like a marionette from a rafter. It's Christmas. It's St. Paddy's Day, Easter, and his birthday wrapped into one. It is Halloween on LSD. He decides that he loves this place. The fog is tinged red and smells of strawberries. A curved semicircle emerges from the haze as he approaches the bar. He finds a gap near the center of the ellipse and waits to catch one of the bartender's eyes. A smiling girl in a lace skirt and shiny leather corset leans over a tray of garnishes and pre-made jello shots. She arches her eyebrows and askance, "Vodka lime?" She nods and proceeds to concoct his order with well-practiced efficiency. He watches the go-go dancers in the mirror behind the bar and sees a pale face float up next to his shoulder in the reflection. The bartendress returns with a short glass, a lime wedge floating in the clear liquid. $8. He gives her a 10 and waves, hands slicing the air horizontally. This means, keep the change. He takes a deep swallow. The vodka bites his throat savagely and burns its way down the esophagus, dropping into his stomach like a napalm bomb. It feels good, and for a moment he just tastes the vodka lime afterburn and absorbs the melancholy drone of the song currently vibrating the air. Something nudges his elbow, and he turns to meet the dark gaze of that something, and it's beautiful. She is leaning with her shoulder blades against the black leather edge of the bar, head rolled back, exposing a slender throat and collarbones. Dark-colored lace covers nearly everything else. Her hands are cradling a half-empty glass of something red. By the shape of it, he guesses wine. Before he can say anything, she twirls and backs into the crowd, gesturing him to follow her into the throng with her index finger, curling into her small fist a few times that clearly says, "Come hither." Unable to resist the invitation, he follows her to the back, where it is less crowded. A fresh cloud of fog issues from the smoke machine. It descends on her, illuminated red, like blood vapor by the stage lights. Her arms fly up in dramatic welcome. They dance like apparitions in the mist for what seems like forever. The conversation they have in this time is conducted without words. They say everything with their bodies and steady glances. Her smile never wavers as she sways, her movements graceful and lithe. His are much less so, but not lacking in effort. What they learn about each other is a simple, unspoken certainty, a force, like gravity, that cannot be denied or avoided. A question that hangs in the air, a promise catches it, and she grabs his hand. He is flushed, heart thumping hard against his ribcage, and her hand is so cold despite the circumstance. He attributes this to several layers of clothing he is wearing, and she is wrapped in only webs of lace. They find themselves outside. It is quiet as a tomb compared to the nightclub. His ears are ringing, and he hears himself saying, "This place is great." "Yeah, it is. What's your name? Haven't seen you here before." "Everett. Pleased to meet you." He realizes they are still holding hands, and he just wiggles it in greeting. Her grip tightens a bit in response. "Yeah, I don't get out much." "No? I'm Olivia." Her hand slips free of his, and she is unclasping a small black purse. She draws out a white soft pack of Lucky Strikes and offers it to him. "Thanks, but I don't smoke." He feels so uncool right now. "You only live once," she says, teasing him, as she lights one in a smooth gesture between her smiling, red lips. "I'd give it a go, but I just cough my lungs out." She shrugs and exhales a jet of smoke over her shoulder, down breeze. "So how'd you find out about Nosferi?" "I went left instead of right." "Really glad I did." Her eyes narrow for a second, processing his words. "A date gone sour? Or just a break in the routine?" "Both, I guess." "Ah," is all she says, and the faint drum beat from inside sets her to swaying. They are just standing there in silence for a while, she smoking and subtly dancing, and him picking out the constellations above the cityscape, those that can be seen through the light pollution anyway. It is a comfortable silence, not loaded with expectation or desire to move on to the next phase in any kind of hurry. He feels like he's just settled into a timeless role and has no desire to spoil it by breaking the moment with words. She finishes her smoke and takes his hand again, pulling him away from the street toward the building. Instead of the door to Nosferi, she veers left to an alleyway, and as soon as they are covered in shadows, her mouth is on his. His shock is momentary, and he just gives in to it, allowing his surprise to melt into pleasure. Her breath is smoky and tinged with red wine. She drops to the heels of her boots, drawing him down into her embrace. Her thin arms are wrapped around the back of his neck, and he feels her scant weight bearing on him like a promise. A cold hand slides across the back of his neck to his throat, a small thumb trailing over the lump of his Adam's apple, and pauses there. Her kiss becomes more insistent, demanding and feral. Her lips trail a burning path to his neck. The sensation knocks the air out of him. He raises his face to the sky, taking a deep breath. The stars above are vivid and vibrant. Her scent is of roses and seduction. Her small body tenses as if preparing to spring, and holds. He feels her eyes on him, and he looks down, a curious expression on her pale features. She is thinking about something. She is not smiling, though a hunger burns in her dark eyes. "What is it? Something wrong?" "I like you, Everett. You're different," she whispers, almost sadly. "I like you too." He dips for another kiss, seeking that smoky sweetness once again, but she draws back. Her hand pulls away from his throat, and her arm retreats back to her side. She casts her eyes over his shoulder into the darkness above and lets out a rush of air, like a sigh. His heart sinks, sensing the moment is spoiled by some indiscretion on his part. What? He begins, and she just places a finger on his lips. Shh, give me your phone, she says. It takes him a second to comprehend before he is patting his pockets for it. It is wedged into his jacket pocket, and as it comes free, it slips from his grasp and tumbles through the air. He doesn't see her catch it, as he is at this point preparing to wince at the sound of his phone screen shattering into multicolored spiderwebs. But it doesn't happen. She is holding it in her hand as if he had never dropped it. A slight pulling away of his reality occurs to reveal something else, just a tiny peek. But his brain just clings to rationale like a piece of debris floating in the raging river of the unknown. She is navigating to his contacts list. She types in some information and hands it back, smiling sweetly. I have to be going. Call me, okay? Okay. He holds the phone like he has no idea what it is or what to do with it as he watches her start to turn. She stops, rising on tiptoes to give him a little soft peck on the cheek, and walks away, turning once to see him staring after her. He is unable to discern her expression, her eyes wide, brows lifted slightly. He thinks maybe it's fear, maybe it's uncertainty. If the latter, then that makes two of them. He fights an urge to run after her, but she turns, and then she's gone. Thank you for listening. The next part continues next week. Until then, good night.